The new Suf John Stevens album is phenomenal. It is a trip, possibly literally. Check it out. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to this channel. I am Shaggy, the opinionated hippie, and I'm currently reviewing every single Frank Zappa album from one all the way to that last one, who shall not be named. And we are currently on number 22, Lumpy Gravy. This is way back in 1968. This was Frank's third album, essentially a solo album. He could not use the mother's name, even though many of the mothers play on here. So he got a whole bunch of session musicians from LA, like lots of session musicians. I think there's like dozens and dozens of people on this album, both playing instruments and talking. He dubbed that group of musicians, I'm going to read this because I can't ever remember it, Abnucials, maybe Abnucials, A-B-N-U-C-E. I'm going to put it right down there. Abnucials Amuka Electric Symphony Orchestra. And so that's who is playing on here. And what this essentially is I like to think of this album as a mixtape. And I don't mean a mixtape like I would make a mixtape for a friend or for a lover. I don't think you would ever make a Frank mixtape for a lover. I'm not sure what romantic music is on there. Not that kind of mixtape, but like a mixtape that a DJ would make. Like, hey man, these are my skills. This is one of my set. This is what I can do with these turntables. Here is a mixtape. This is essentially a mixtape of Frank's editing skills, editing both spoken word parts like conversations that he recorded, or interviews that he recorded, or forced scenarios in which he makes people talk as if they're inside a piano, and then he records those and kind of edits them and makes them a little more surreal than they already are. And this is edited with music, all instrumental music, some of it eventually recognizable, or even at the time, no, eventually recognizable. Some of it just really short, less than 5 second bursts of noise, 20-second bursts of noise, maybe a minute if you're lucky. And that's what this is. 2 sides, part 1, part 2, each just under 16 minutes long. And it is Frank at his editing madman most intense. So like part 1, start off with a little spoken word, and then you get the theme from Lumpy Gravy, officially titled Duodenum. It would eventually be released on Make a Jazz Noise here. Then you get some talking, some more noise. This goes into Oh No, an instrumental version of Oh No, which would eventually be released later. And then there's more talking, more bursts of noise. There's surf music. There's some Stravinsky classical stuff. There's some like lounge, cocktail, swinging type stuff. And this is just a maddening edit cut, just this for almost 16 minutes on both sides. It is a little like, if you're not prepared for it, it's just going to frustrate you. It will even frustrate you if you are prepared for it, because you'll be getting into like, oh, this is a cool, oh wait, that was done. No, never mind. Some of the conversations run on a little too long, but hey, some of the conversations aren't that good, but hey, some of them are brilliant. Some of them are hilarious. One of the people talking on here has a laugh that you will never forget in your life, and you will either love it or you will absolutely hate it. This is just Frank, possibly at his most Frank. No guitar solos, pretty much no solos of any kind, no lyrics, really just 2 sides of Frank saying, okay, I have this probably 16 minutes of dialogue that I've recorded, and then 16 minutes of random music that is all over the place. And I'm going to somehow take these pieces and edit them into 2 sides. And that's what the album is. That's what the experience is. There was an original Lumpy Gravy released in 1967 that had a different track list. Again, record company stuff. That was eventually released on the Lumpy Money Project Object release that the ZFT did. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the 1968 Lumpy Gravy original that does not have any overdubs that Frank would later put on it, because those suck. But anyways, yeah. So this album is great. I think you need to listen to it, even though there's 2 sides. It's interesting. The 2 sides kind of mirror each other. I think like the first half of part one, you get a little more, you get the Lumpy Gravy, you get the oh no. I think the dialogue makes a little more sense. And then as you get closer to the end, things kind of start to fall apart and get a little weirder. And then the part two starts off weirder. It's heavy on the dialogue and conversation early. And then you go along. And then there's like this establishes really nice, almost basement 50s sweaty jazz groove that kind of swings right into King Kong, just the theme from King Kong. And then again, you get some more noise, some more music, and then the entire thing ends with an instrumental take on Take Your Clothes Off When You Dance, which just might be Frank's best melody, his most irresistible melody, the one that just can only make you happy, right? It can only make you happy. So anyways, number 22, Lumpy Gravy. This album has a lot of conceptual continuity clues. The dialogue talks about the big note that Frank talks about a lot, how everything is a part of the big note. There's talks about, there was an album that was released after Frank passed away called Civilization. This is Lumpy Gravy is apparently part one of Civilization, and a lot of the dialogue that occurs in here would then later occur in Civilization. The same dialogue or different pieces from those same recordings. And then some of the songs on Civilization are named after some of the conversations that happen here. There's a lot of conceptual continuity as far as like there's Pigs and Ponies. I'm not sure that pops anywhere else. There's other stuff that popped. Wildman Fisher. I don't know if anybody ever listened to Dr. Demento back in the day, but Wildman Fisher was frequently on there with his song Merry-Go-Round. There's a reference to Merry-Go-Round on here. It's just a really neat listen. And I love it. I just highly recommend it. Check it out. This is the last album on this list that I don't have a lot of problems with. Roxy, I had problems with the talking, but the music was so incredibly good that it was able to get ahead of this. A couple of I don't like Can't Afford No Shoes, but the rest of One Size Fits All is so good that it made it all the way to 11. From this point on, all of the albums have either a track or two that I don't like or just something about them that don't work. This, I think, is the last album that I'm like, this is just great, Frank. It's maybe a little harder to get into, but once you listen to it and give it a chance, I think you'll appreciate the genius that it is. It really was sort of a dry run for We're Only In It For The Money, where then he took his songs and his better spoken word bits and shorter things and just had crazy mad edits. This is kind of that dry run for that, like him just editing like crazy. It's also a really good headphone listen. So if you're one of those people who like to put on headphones, the sounds and Frank used the channels well, and it's just an overall good listen. So yeah, that's it. I'm going to stop rambling now. Check it out. Lumpy Gravy, my number 22 favorite Zappa album.